You want more sales and inquiries from your photography website. To do that, you need to stay top of mind for your audience and to get better rankings on Google as a good source of traffic and potential clients. For both of those, you need more content, more text content on your website in a regular way, and blogging is the solution for that. Yet, blogging is not done by many photographers because they don't know what to write about. They don't feel they're good at writing and they're just out of ideas usually. And I want to fix that and just show you how many topics you can cover regardless of your niche and your experience level. Ideally, your blog posts should be at the intersection of what is useful and valuable to your audience and what services or products you offer. That way, you're helping your audience, but also nudging them closer to hiring you or buying something from you. Blog posts sit anywhere on the spectrum, and most of the time, they are closer to the educational side, to the being helpful side of the spectrum. But from time to time, like once every 5 or 10 posts, you can make it a bit more promotional, a bit more pushy with your services and how you can help your audience with what you have to offer. To generate blogging ideas, I won't tell you to do brainstorming sessions or use any mind mapping tools or anything like that. I'll try to make this as actionable as possible and provide you with some clear ideas on what you can blog about. Don't forget that everything I mentioned here can also be used to create content besides the actual blog posts. Content for your email newsletter, right? To keep your list warm by regularly sending out new emails to them. For social media posts, to keep engagement rates up, to get followers and all that sort of stuff. For guest blogging on photography publications or sites or blogs out there to reach a larger audience with your content. For guest podcasting as well, which can help position yourself as an expert, promote your offerings to a larger audience again, and even for creating educational or sales pages on your website to make them more useful and interesting to your visitors. Let's dive in with my list of blogging ideas for photographers. Idea number one for your photography blog: some sort of making of post or behind the scenes or how I shot this photo or a before and after. All these four subtopics fall under the same bucket of showcasing one or more of your most recent photos. To start with, simply take one of your most iconic images and write a blog post about it by covering the story behind it, why you're taking that photo, how you decided on the composition for it, any bad experiments you got before you shot the right frame, any relevant gear or filters or camera settings you used and why, any other technical details behind the photo so other photographers can maybe learn from you, any post-production details, how it looked like before and after you did editing on the photo, and any feedback from other people, how the image was used. If it's available for purchase, don't shy away from mentioning that or posting a link in there. You can basically take this same approach not just for new stuff, but for your entire past archive. Like you have your favorite past project of yours. In fact, this is quite a common practice I see from wedding photography blogs. All wedding photo shoots end up being promoted after the fact on the blog with teasers from that event. Here's a wacky idea for your blog: write a blog post about a great shot that you missed. Maybe because of weather, because of using the wrong camera settings, because of not seeing the forest from the trees, whatever it was. Basically, an almost making of post or a how I almost shot this type of post. I'm sure this type of humble and honest blog post will sit well with your audience. It will help them trust you more and show that you're human and that you're learning from this and that you know the steps you need to take to better get that shot next time. Do-it-yourself content is incredibly popular online, so you can take advantage of that trend by creating how-to blog posts or any sort of tutorials to educate your audience on your preferences, how you use your gear, and what camera settings you use for particular situations, how you choose your subjects, your venues, your locations when you go out on a photo shoot, any sort of photo editing or post processing recommendations, basically any repeatable process from your workflow that you can educate other people about. This type of post is something that audiences usually find relevant and actionable. It's something that they can repeat themselves. It's more geared towards a specific type of audience. Like if you're a photographer selling products for other photographers, like Lightroom presets or books on photography or any of that sort. But even if your audience is the general public, maybe looking to buy fine art prints from you, it still positions you as an expert. You know what you're doing because you're educating other people about it, and it still helps. Reviews are always popular online. Gear reviews, software reviews, critiques of service providers or venues you've worked with. Basically, do some research to see what's out there for any tool or service you use and figure out if you can put a new spin to it, if you can bring something interesting to the table. There's always room for improvement. And don't forget to go deep on why you're using that tool or service. That would make the blog post more interesting. Otherwise, it's just a copy paste job of camera spec sheets from online stores. It would be useful. So bring your unique spin to it. Reviews are always popular. You can put lists on your photography blog. Top 5 lists, top 10 lists of almost anything. Listicles are popular because they just work. They draw in clicks. They're really easy to understand. Writing a listicle basically forces you, as the photographer, as the writer, to make the content straightforward, to organize it cleanly. Plus, the headlines of such blog posts are also very straightforward. They clearly state what the post is all about. The possibilities for writing a list type of post are endless. Basically, you can deconstruct everything from your photography niche and put that into a listicle. Top venues you've worked with, top reasons to hire you as a photographer. The possibilities here are endless. You could be making lists of everything in your photography niche, lists of venues, of reasons to hire someone like you, of tips for working with a photographer like you. Anything like that can be turned into a list. Here's a blog post idea that I really like. Insights from people in your industry. You can structure this as either a one-on-one interview with someone you trust from the industry, and that's really useful because they can help you then cross promote that post with their audience as well. But you can also send out a small set of questions to vendors, to manufacturers, to industry connections to try to uncover something that's useful for your audience. It's like avoiding to write a blog post by crowdsourcing the content to industry connections you have, and then you put all that information together into some sort of blog post about a topic in your niche. I really like this idea because it's a win-win both for them, they're getting exposure, for you because you have more content to publish on your blog and then social media and everywhere else, and also for your audience because they're learning something, they're getting insights about your industry, about your focus that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. You should do case studies and interviews with past clients. Basically, potential leads are always maybe stressed or worried about working with you, about hiring you for something. But showcasing the experiences of your past clients to them can help alleviate some of that stress. Past clients can say how your work has helped them, what impact it has had on them, and then you can also add more information about what each project entailed. When done, these sort of case studies can actually become success stories and they can really help build trust with your audience. A good case study contains a few elements that I think shouldn't be missed. An introduction, like a very brief intro on the project, on the engagement in question, with an emphasis again on problems and outcome. It should convince the readers of the value of digging further into the details of your service. Think of it as some sort of elevator pitch. If a potential client only read this intro paragraph and then bounced from the website, would they at least understand what you did and the value that it offered? If yes, then that's great. Then the case study should contain some sort of project backstory. Think of it as the beginning, the once upon a time part. You're presenting the key players, the points of view, how you would describe the relationship, what led to you starting a business relationship. Then you talk about the problem, what exactly you were hired to do, straight into the point, and how you used your experience and problem solving skills. Then talk about the changes, the process, the experiments you did, any other notes, your strategy, your technical capabilities, your style, how you solve the problem. And then finally talk about the result, insights into how your work was meaningful to that past client, any feedback and quote you got from them. The more specific, the better, of course. And with some sort of conclusion, a summary of what worked, what didn't, where you were doubtful or surprised, what you learned to do differently next time, and of course, why they should work with you for a similar project and how to get in touch with you. Here's another interesting blogging idea. Do an opinion piece, put a spin or go against some existing popular article. If you follow any sort of industry publications, you might read a piece that you're not 100% in accordance with, that you have an opposite view of. Just consider writing about it. If you cause a bit of controversy, if you genuinely have something to say, not for the sake of it, that can actually draw attention to your content. It takes courage and probably a bit of extra time to field off any questions or comments you get from the community, depending on the topic, but it might be worth the effort. A photography blog shouldn't be an overly personal online journal, but it's still a good idea to post about you as a photographer, to show glimpses into your life, maybe do a tour of your studio or anything like that. I don't want us to go down the reality TV rabbit hole. This isn't it. But imagine you're writing a blog post titled A Week in the Life of a Headshot Photographer, or whatever your niche is. I think that's incredibly interesting, and your audience can learn a lot about you in such a post, like recent photography projects that you were part of, insights into your work, why you became a photographer, or the struggles of a photographer in your industry, in your niche, how you're overcoming them, and generally something funny about you. So it's okay to take readers along with you on your life adventures from time to time, assuming, of course, you can also share some amazing photos from those sessions or from those trips. Altogether, these types of posts help increase trust. That's the ultimate goal for this type of blog post. Why not do a recurring blog series on answers you commonly give out to questions from your clients, from your audience. You can source these questions from past email exchanges or live meetings you had with your clients, with permission, of course. Or you can simply make up the questions. Basically, you're telling a story, you're making a point by using a question and answer type of format. This type of content is quite interesting because the content is easy to consume more so than a regular blog post type of story. And these Q&A posts encourage engagement a lot. You're expected to get more replies, more comments, more conversations out of them. And that should slowly lead to more leads and better search engine rankings throughout. So it's a useful idea in your blogging arsenal. Hope these blogging ideas were useful. In my full blogging course, I have a ton more tips for blogging ideas for specific photography niches, what topics I think you shouldn't cover on your photography blog because they've been overdone, and a lot more advice on how to generate a consistent stream of ideas for your blog so you never run out of blogging ideas, whether that's from questions from your audience, repurposing any past content you have, doing keyword research, and just generally breaking down the services that you have to offer into multiple blog posts and blog post topics and ideas. Check out my blogging course, which covers everything to do with setting up, running, optimizing a successful photography blog. Email me if you run into any other questions about blogging or anything to do with websites. Happy to help, and so long. Talk to you soon.